Heaven's gained another angel
Oh,
when somebody dies.
oh.
Okay. Who's going to go for not a quote? That seems quite unanimous. Misquote? Heart quote? Or interpret quote? Okay, this one is not quote. This is not in the Bible at all. Why is this not in the Bible?
Because although we are divine creatures who will live forever, we're not angels. We are of a different type, a different level of creation. The Bible says that we, as far as we're above the animals, the angels are above us, different order. I guess if you want to try and sort of pin down where it comes from, I would blame those Renaissance artists, because they started painting angels and cherubim especially as chubby little, babies with wings on. And
are you saying cherubs are not chubby little babies with wings?
So cherubim are very, from what we understand, very rare guardians of the throne of God with the seraphim. But when the Renaissance people started to try and paint the embodiment of various ideas, I guess the embodiment of both innocence and love and those sort of qualities meant that in pictures, along with usually women with no clothes on, they would often stick the little cherubs with little wings on the back and little bow and arrows and, fire the arrow of love into the heart of the man who's looking through the window at the scantily clad woman.
I guess in some sense, if they had drawn pictures of what cherubim actually described like,
yeah, that would not work.
You'd look at it and go, "What is that?"
Yeah. So I think what we can say is that popular culture start to have this perverted idea of what an angel is, and at some point, and how can we speak against it? Some desperately sad situations where a child who reminds the parent of one of these little gorgeous little cherubs, if you like, is taken, then some people find a great comfort in being able to say, something like heaven's gained it, a new little angel, which obviously isn't good theology, but it is understandable to express loss from the pain of people. And sometimes maybe we shouldn't jump up and down and saying, "You're misquoting the Bible," when what we should be doing is putting our arm around people who are suffering and being kind to them in tough circumstances.
Sure. But we also need to when we are talking to people outside of those circumstances, to dispel the notion that when we go to heaven, we're going to get wings and a harp. Because that is common throughout culture. These ideas pervade, every time a bell rings, an angel gains his wings. And, it's become shorthand in a lot of sense.
Was that not from Peter Pan?
No, that was from It's a Wonderful Life, the greatest film ever made.
There you go.
But that's by the by.
Clarence the Angel.
Clarence the Angel.
So Hollywood loves doing these weird angel things, don't they?
They do.
Heaven Can Wait and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's become so much, it saturates culture, that it is something that does need to be addressed. And we're not waiting, because of course it sounds unbelievable, because it's not true. The idea that we're going to sit on a cloud with a harp with wings and a halo is so far removed from the glory that's in store for us.
Oh, we're not going to be like that.
I'm sorry, Linda.
Oh, let's just
the wonderful thing is we're going to be resurrected. And the resurrection's missing from all the cartoons, you know, and all the cliches that you get in the Hollywood movies. You know, Hollywood movies focus on clouds, wings, harps, and St. Peter sitting at a desk checking people in and out. You know? None of which is right. But it's interesting, isn't it? I wonder why Hollywood has a vested interest in not telling the truth.
Does it show that people are searching for a hope, though? But they're searching in the wrong place?
Yeah, and I think there is a merger between what you said, Tinkerbell type of Disney-fied versions of spirit beings, if you want to put it like that, into this fudge between what the reality of an angel is. And frankly, we don't understand, and we won't understand till we get there, the real nature of what an angel is, because angel means messenger. And it's a designation of a role rather than the essence of what the angel being is. So Paul gives us a sort of dark mirrored reflection of those angelic creatures by saying principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness and evil places. We get the negatives, if you like, but there are ranks and ranks equally of spiritual beings, divine beings, on the side of God. But what we don't get is much insight into that. We get a little bit of insight when we talk about archangel, the angel over the messengers, if you like, or the prince of the host of heaven, or the guardian angel that, you know, is appointed over the nation of Israel, or guardian angels that look over children. You know, we do get some glimpses into that, but we've got to be very careful. But the world, if you like, ends up taking pagan fairy tales and drawn from all sorts of cultures around the world, mixes it up with Victorian stupid people who believed in things like the Cottingham fairies. Have you come across them? Can you believe it? The guy that wrote the Sherlock Holmes stories, right? What was his name again?
Conan Doyle.
Arthur Conan Doyle was conned by two little girls who did paper cutouts of fairies, planted them in the garden, and took photographs. And they were known as the Cottingham fairies. And he was hook, line, and sinker. Oh, they found fairies in the bottom of the garden. Yeah. But that sort of pagan pixie, if you like, the pagan pixies, the fairies, the birth of the cartoon animation, and Disney in particular, created a completely weird view of all of these things that persists all around us. And you can hardly go into a gift shop without seeing, you know, angel colouring books or angel dangly things to hang in windows or angel, meringues in the shape of angels, or do you know what I mean? The nonsense of it and how demeaning it is against spiritual beings. And if you remember, you know, Jude says, is it Jude or Peter? But that basically, you know, people speak evil of dignitaries that they shouldn't get involved with. I remember when we were at Millfield Church as young people, and I walked into Sunday school once, and in the Sunday school they were singing a dumb song. It was like, one of these days we're going to catch the devil and put him in a box, or some nonsense like this. And it was like, I was horrified, thinking, we've got to get back to what the Bible says, you know. So yeah, strange old question, isn't it?